Now Ayrshire Radio podcast presents Ayrshire Insights with Elliot Boyce.
And it's time for this week's Local Legend Spotlight, and today we're celebrating someone who's taken laughs, hard work and creativity and turned them into a full-scale career. Our local legend this week is our very own Billy Kirkwood. So Billy is a comedian, writer, you know him for his broadcasting. He's also a podcaster and one of Scotland's hardest working creative brains. Billy's known for sharp stand-up, quick-fire crowd work, radio and podcast appearances, writing projects and relentless graft behind the scenes that people don't always see when it comes to making comedy pay the bills. Billy, thanks for joining us this morning.
Pleasure, mate. An absolute pleasure. So
you're used to the drive time gig. How does it feel being here on a Sunday?
Well, normally this is my day off, but you know, one of my boys gives me a call and says, "We come on." I come running, mate. That's how it is.
This is when the real work takes place in radio, Billy.
This is where proper broadcasting happens. Never miss. During the week, don't even bother.
This is all the serious stuff happens on a Sunday.
The serious stuff.
It is a Sunday, so most people have got the kettles on across Ayrshire. So the big question is, are you a tea or coffee man?
Oh, yeah, I am a coffee man. I'm a coffee. Currently on decaf because I'm in my 40s, but I am very much a coffee man.
Tomato sauce or brown sauce?
It's tomato sauce. What are we talking about? Don't even come near me with your brown sauce. Don't even know what that is.
And what's your go-to Sunday morning roll?
Oh, do you know, for a while it was a bit of a wild card. It was actually tatty scone and cheese.
Hold on. Tatty scone and cheese.
Tatty scone and cheese, mate. Name me. But I need to get more. Name me at all, but I need to get more protein in my diet. So I would say you got to go with the classic bacon and a slice of black pudding. Oh yes.
We're going to find out about how you turned comedy into a career, the realities behind the laughs, and how creative people actually make it work.
You're listening to Ayrshire Insights with Elliot Boyce.
Now Ayrshire Radio.
I'm chatting with today's local legend, Billy Kirkwood. So Billy, let's start from the beginning. Where did you grow up?
Well, first of all, I would say national legend. Actually, national treasure. Sweetheart, I think, is where I would actually go. Ridiculous, man. The idea that anyone would get called a legend. For me, do you know something, Elliot? Me and my family, we're all very different cats, right? If you look at me and my brothers and my dad and my mum, you lined us all up, you would go, these guys the same family? How is that even possible? They might have been relations with the milkman, we're not sure. But one thing we can tell you is the one thing we always bonded on growing up was comedy. And I've got brothers 10 years old, and it was like I would watch anything that was comedy related on TV, like absolutely anything. At school, I was fairly quiet, but you know, I was playing with my pals and what have you. But comedy was like the big thing in my life. I loved watching it. But the thing is, see, when you grow up in Ayrshire, if you go up in bits of Glasgow, if you go like outside of the cities, you're not meant to do. You're not meant to do performing. No, you're meant to go and get a job in a factory or do X, Y, and Z. No, there's anything wrong with anything like that, but you're not really encouraged to. So you've got to try and find your own path. So I did like school shows and stuff like that, and I knew I wanted to work in the creative industry. I just didn't know what it was. And I mean, I still remember like making funny movies and that with my mates, and I'd always loved stand-up. One of the things that really struck with me was actually Robin Williams, who did Robin Williams Live at the New York Met. And I remember seeing that as a little kid and going, that's incredible. Of course, Billy Connolly's a huge influence, but Robin Williams was my guy. So I sort of went into theatre acting and what have you, just to get some foot in the door in the creative industries. Then of all things, my wife bumped into a friend of hers. I'm not making this up, man. She bumped into a friend of hers that had done a stand-up course, and she was doing, I didn't know there was such a thing. And she went, well, she's rubbish. Why don't you do a stand-up course? Because you're funny. And I would go, and the reason I tell that, and I'm not ashamed of that at all, like I've heard some comics rewrite the route into stand-up, including people that were on that course with me. But the cool thing about it was I got to kind of learn the difference between performing solo. And there was a gig at the end. there was a guy, and I didn't know how to get a stand-up gig because there wasn't really much of a scene now. It's much more, there's a lot more going on now than when I started. And I did my first gig and it went really well, right? Then the next night I did a gig at the Tartan Rose in Paisley. and I remember that because I made every mistake you could make. I'm going to write a whole new set. I'm not even going to rehearse. I'll improv with the crowd and all that. And I turned up and I died in my hoop. Absolutely died in my hoop. But it made me go, you know something? I want to do this. This is hard. I want to work at this. And that's kind of where it all started for me. It was meant to be a hobby. It was meant to be a hobby. It was never meant to be a job. A job was a pipe dream, was a cloud dream.
And you managed to get it that way. So going through from growing up then and going through, did you have any other jobs at all, or was it just straight into this route?
No, I mean, I went to university, man. I did media theory and production. So my route was meant to be, I mean, I worked in kind of television and theatre and post-production and producing originally. That's what my route was going to be. Although, I mean, don't get me wrong, I had like part-time jobs, like working in Blockbuster Video and stuff, which was an ace job. See, when you're in a film student.
I could have tied you to that. See if you said, Elliot, guess what job I had back then. I thought Blockbusters was suiting.
Mate, like, it was the perfect job when you were a student because all there was to do then was rent movies. Do you know what I mean? So you got 7 free movie rentals a week. Again, there's not like there's anything wrong with it. A bit like working at McDonald's. So like I did that, and then I was the media rep for an insurance company, and I helped run a production company, which when that closed, my diary had kind of started busying up. So it was like, and then I got a job writing in kids TV. So I have a children's BAFTA. I don't want to talk about this a lot, but I have 2 BAFTAs. What does it get you? Nothing. Doesn't even get you extra club card points. It's hee-haw. But I got a job writing for kids TV on a show called Heads, and then on another show called Stakeout, which was kind of like Beatles About for kids, right? But the thing about that is it made me go, well, look, that's my bills paid. Because at the time it was just me and my wife. You know what I mean? I don't even think we were married then. And I got to go, well, look, that's my bills paid for X number of months. Put myself out there. I'll go for it full time. I'm kind of getting the gears turning. People know who I am. I've improved enough that I could at least pretend to be a decent stand-up. And off the back of that, like, you go full time. People start reaching out. Opportunities start coming up. That 6 months became a year. That year became a year and a half. And I was never at the stage where I was going like, if this doesn't work out, I'm going to go get a job. That was always my idea. Like, if this doesn't work out, I'll go and get a job. I'll go and stack shelves. Like, I'll do whatever needs to be done to keep this going. But that was 18 years ago.
So that was all 18 years ago, and there's a lot more about the business of comedy. We're going to do that just after this.
Tune in live every Sunday from 10 a.m. for Ayrshire Insights with Elliot Boyce.
Only on Now Ayrshire Radio.
Now Ayrshire.
We are still with Billy Kirkwood, comic, writer, broadcaster and entrepreneur in the creative world. So Billy, let's talk about the business side. So clearly with comedy, you've got to pay the bills. You'd mentioned there about all the plans that you had. So as you've grown up in the business and started to get gig upon gig, it then becomes invoices, it then becomes cash flow, It then becomes all the other costs. How do you feel that whilst being out there and being the funny man, you've also got to manage the business side of it? And what would you say to people maybe in the early days of trying to get into the creative industry where they've got to do marketing, accounts, everything to be able to run a business?
Well, it's something I certainly had to learn. Like, every job I'd had was, here's your pay packet, away you go, I mean, it can be quite a shock to the system. I always do the comparison. I mean, I'm effectively a freelancer. If you want to take the word comedian away for a second, I am a freelancer in the creative business. So that's kind of the way it was put to me. Treat yourself like a business, because I still have to reach out, to comedy clubs and go, hey, here's my availability. I have to think about the Fringe. I have to produce that. How much is that going to cost me? So the fact when you're sitting down with spreadsheets, you're sitting down with notepads and you're having a plan for the future, my advice would be, shoot for the moon, but give yourself realistic options. Have yourself a backbone. If you feel like you need to get a job that's a couple of days a week just to keep, the wheels from the door. And I know a couple of comics who would surprise you, who are full-time and relatively big names, and they still have jobs, side hustles, if you will. They still have side hustles, or they've built a business in the background. I've always been open to other things within the creative industry to make sure things keep going. I've produced kids shows. I've written a worked for the BBC. I still continue to do stuff for those guys. I do radio. That you could argue is a diversion from what I do, but I see it as an extension of what I do. My advice would be, in those early days, say yes to absolutely everything. Make every mistake. Learn every lesson. If you're in any doubt, pick up the phone and phone someone who you might not even know, but someone is a full-time within your industry. If you pick up the phone or drop an email, 90% of people tend to respond. And they respond in kind, because I think if you help someone out, and I don't mean we're ever looking for something back, but if you help someone out, they remember that. And then you might collaborate with them again, and then they might drop your name. And before you know it, that's how you build. That's networking, which is a massive part of the business. Turn up on time. I always remember seeing Tom Hanks do this. Know what you're doing. Turn up on time. Do a good job. And don't ruffle any feathers. Don't be there to be an antagonist. Don't believe what you see in movies. Don't believe what you think the business is like. The word business is in there in creative industries, and it is a business. So you have to treat it like that. I mean, I got an accountant to help me do stuff. I sought advice, and I still seek advice to this day when I'm unsure of something. It's very, very important.
I think people as well is not involved with it. I mean, for me, I've been involved with the event world for a long while, but obviously just started when Now Ayrshire launched, similar to yourself. That was my first phase in radio. And I think people don't realise about the business side behind it, because for people that are listening this morning or this afternoon, and people who are hearing it and see you on stage, just go, oh, the funny man's turned up, I laughed, few pints up the road. It's everything that goes into that. I mean, talking about comedy, I mean, people just look at you as just turning up and being funny, but behind every gig, there's writing, there's travel, promotion, emails, graft, all the things. Yeah. How much is it actually involved with it? And when did you realise, this is... There's a hobby here, but it's also a business, and there's a lot of hard work in it. Was that from the early days, and you realised I need to put a bit of work into this?
Yeah, I think, for me, it sounds like I'm pure motivated by money, but I was always like, I need to pay my bills. So I have to learn how to do an invoice. I mean, there's your first thing, particularly in the world we live in now. Writing and treating it properly. I mean, I'm working on my Fringe show, so I've already started working on that Fringe show. That needs to be good. That's in 6 months' time. I mean, no doubt you're the same. You have to think 6 months down the line. You have to think a year down the line, which is wild. But it is hugely important. I mean, I would love to say, I get a phone call. This is where you're gigging on a Friday night. See you there, click. A car arrives outside, drives me to the gig. I go in, I do my funnies, and then they hand me money, and then I'm away back to my penthouse flat. None of that. I mean, I've done gigs, even at this point, for 30 quid. That can go right up to whatever. Then you might turn around and go, well, that doesn't sound like a lot of money. Well, it's £15 an hour, and I'm probably doing 20 minutes, and it beats in the house. It's also getting your reps in, is the phrase I would use. Now I could turn around and go, well, that makes me sharper for the weekend, where I'm going to be gigging for the Stand. I'm going to be down in Birmingham or London gigging for the Glee or the Comedy Store. That's reps in the gym. A footballer trains on the training ground. That's me on the training ground. You have to start recognising what your goals are and what your assets are. You're a big asset. Look after your bills. Look after the business side. You have to look after what you're doing in terms of writing comedy and making sure it evolves, because like a lot of businesses, and you'll have seen this in the events business as well, we're constantly evolving, man. We're constantly evolving, and you've got to be not one step ahead, but you've got to be open to it, because if you're not, we're just going to get left behind.
So obviously we talk about radio that you've done. I mean, everybody listening will have heard you in the Drive Time show along with Bex. We've spoken about comedy. You've touched on some other things that you do. What other parts of the creative industry are you involved in? Because I know that you now and again turn up with a wrestling belt, so that's just one of many things. To talk about that.
It's really an indulgence of something that I'm into. I work with Insane Championship Wrestling. who are at one time were the biggest independent wrestling promotion, certainly in Europe, which was huge. I mean, we worked with WWE, and the thing is, I'm very passionate about pro wrestling, and I got to use my talents as a communicator, if that makes any sense, to be a wrestling commentator. It's an over 18s product. I've got to make that clear to anybody. And again, it's also one of those things like stuff that I've probably said, 10 years ago when I started with those guys. Well, I had said now. I can assure you that.
So how did you find them?
Working with those guys has been great because, hey, it's like a two-way street, actually. There's lots of parallels between, wrestling, for anyone that may or may not be into it, it's a real-life theatre stunt action show. It's and I get to help tell the story of the action that's going on in the ring, just like a football commentator would. They help tell the story, the why, not the what, is a big thing in pro wrestling, and I absolutely love it. There has been some crossovers into comedy and stuff like that, and I'm still very much into pro wrestling, but I get to be a part of it, which is mad. I've got to work with some huge names in pro wrestling. A couple are friends to this day, and that's just the little kid in me would be just losing his mind.
Do you know,
it's cool.
That's probably something that the creative industry allows. I mean, you mentioned kind of following your dreams. I work in football. I was never going to make it. I used to turn up and go to football games when I was younger, watch the football. I was never going to make it as a pro footballer. Right. There was no chance, but now I can walk out the tunnel and I'm doing the halftime announcements and you're involved with it. And it's so cool just because of what using the skills that you've got in this and being able to put that into a childhood passion. Do you ever roll about and do wrestling? Have you ever been a wrestler?
I have trained to do wrestling, but no, and I'll tell you for why. I'm still in my 40s and I play rugby like an idiot. Trust me, my knees know all about it. I trained because I put my money where my mouth was. Because I think, it's a little carny and stuff like that, but I think a couple of wrestlers like, who's this guy think he is? I'll show you who I am. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've butted heads with a couple of people that have had interesting ideas in the past. Because the thing in wrestling is like, pay your dues, and someone said that, it's like, oh, you just talk, I don't think you've paid your dues, and I went, I'll stop you right there. I will stop you right there. First of all, and I'll have to watch my language. I spend 4 hours screaming into a microphone, making you seem like the biggest stars on the planet. I've missed weddings. I have missed birthdays. I have missed Saturday nights with my family. I am up and down the roads. When you're doing your 20-minute match and spending, not that I'm taking anything away, but you give me respect, and that's how it works. And people tend to appreciate that. And I did that out of respect. I learned how to wrestle, basic stuff, like how to do a match. Like I took what they call in the business a bump, because people will say mad things like, oh, it's all fake. It's like, it's predetermined. It's a storyline, but it's not fake. Like that EastEnders isn't real. Hate to blow everyone's mind.
Exclusive really on Ayrshire Insights, EastEnders. Is that an exclusive coming out, Billy?
It is, mate. But it's funny because I'll hear people say that. They'll go, it's like, yeah, so these guys and girls are putting their bodies on the line. And I have to sit at ringside, be professional, as I see friends like putting their physicality on the line. And I am in awe, man. I am in awe of what they do. And I love it. I still love it to this day. And long may it continue. I've got a couple of years in it yet, but in terms of getting in the ring, do you know something? If it ever happens, it'll be my last night.
What we could do right now is you could call somebody out that you want to get in the ring with, and we could start a campaign here in Ayrshire Radio to see Billy Kirkwood in the ring. What do you think?
Oh God, I just who would it be? It'd be like nobody. There's a woman that lives across the street. I'm not a fan of.
I don't like the way she puts her bins it.
Hey, listen, we'll just work the match, right? It's just you can win.
You can win. Right, so going through everything that you've done and going through the journey, what would you say your biggest leap of faith has been? Something where you've just had to jump in with both feet and go, do you know what? I'm doing this.
Do you know these constant little ones of, every time I kind of walk in front of a crowd, I think I'm taking a little bit of a leap of faith. Because they might not like me just because maybe it's not my night. They might not like me for whatever reason. It happens.
It's subjective.
It's subjective. It could be they don't like the look of you. I've seen that happen. But biggest leap of faith in terms of career, I'd probably say that was going full time. That was going go. And I use the phrase full time with a little asterisk next to it. It was going, this is going to be my job. I'm going to try and make this my job. And I have said yes to so many things. I mean, it was realistically stand-up that got me a job in wrestling. It was probably the decade long, or, from that and podcasting and doing X, Y, and Z, that probably got me a job on the radio because, well, this guy knows what to do. He's talking into a microphone. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still think I'm dreadful at radio, but that's just one man's opinion. And that's taken. So it has to go back to that original leap of faith. It has to go back, which my wife was on board with. Do you know what I mean? Like, this was us taking a shot, and I'll be eternally grateful for her for supporting me in that and going, yep, let's do this, because it was us. She's been like that through my entire career, Elliot. Like, even when back in the other place when I went to do a morning radio, we had to have that discussion because I was going to be missing every weekday morning.
Yep.
And I'm probably still gigging every Friday and Saturday night. So it's a big commitment. And you're going to your bed at an early point because you're back up at 4 a.m. religiously. I'll level with you, dude. Never managed it. Never managed it. That's why things got quite rough.
Yes. Well, I mean, to talking about that, and I think it's important to mention, we've mentioned a lot of highs, but also the kind of lows. What would you say one of the lows has been in something where you've really had to kind of take a deep breath and build yourself back up from?
Definitely an exhaustion. I think you've got to have a word with yourself. Like, I remember being, when I knew I was going to be wrapping up things in the other place, I remember going, not being happy about my stand-up career, not being happy about the place that I was. And it's like, look at all these people. Because I took like a 6-year break from the Fringe. And I would sit there in the morning and go, look at these guys, they're getting X, Y, and Z, they're getting all blah, 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 for the runs at the festival. Pfft, why am I not getting that? Because you only going to the festival, Billy. You only putting on a show. But that's because I've got to do this. But you can't moan about that if you're not doing it. So when you realise the common denominator in some of your greatest achievements, but when you realise it's the common denominator in some of your biggest failures or your faults can be you.
Yep.
That was huge. That was huge. That's when I went, I'm ready to make a transition back to where I want to be. And I think I booked in on the Edinburgh Festival, went at that full tilt boogie. And that was a big thing when you realise, I think, because we all work so hard, and particularly anyone that's freelancers, I'm sure anyone that works in plumbing or joinery or anything at all, like when you're living hand to mouth a little bit, I think sometimes you can just keep going so far that you lose track of yourself, you lose track of your ambition, and you wear yourself out. And I definitely did that. So I had I'm not religious in any way, but I had a come to Jesus moment, but it was with myself going, so what do we do to fix this? Because the only person that's going to fix this is you. Yeah. No one's coming. No one's coming.
The challenge as well, Billy, in the business that you're in, you are the product of the business, and that's where in other businesses where it's not relying on you as the product. You might manage it. There's other things that keep the business going, but when you're the product, the responsibility comes down to you, and it's not like I'm just going to get my assistant to cover that, because they don't want it. They want Billy Kirkwood, and that's when the burnout can kick in as well, because you end up struggling to say no to things. You want to be there, you want to do it, but you look at it, and I mean, there's times I've looked at my diary before a weekend and go, how am I going to get through this and then get back to work on Monday? You burn in fumes and you manage to navigate your way through it, and then before you know it, you're back in the office on a Monday morning going, I did that.
Well, that's it. It's you can only do that for so long. Like, you can only drive with a yellow light on for so long, and I've definitely suffered burnout in my career. And I think it's important to recognise that. And that's why I'm kind of happy where things are right now, to be honest. Because I take breaks. I take time off. I don't get me wrong. Part of the other poisonous part of that is I pure love being busy. I know. If you turn up and see me at a gig, man, or if you hear me on the radio and you go, that guy's a bit excitable, I'm not pretending. That is who I am. I love it. I am eternally grateful for every opportunity I get. There are people that aren't like that in any type of business, and I think you need to be a little humble. I think you need to have nothing but gratitude as well. I think that's incredibly, incredibly important. We all have our bad days, Elliot. You know what I mean? We all have our days when we're sitting there moaning. But if you sometimes just think about it, what are you moaning about? Imagine you weren't annoyed about it. Just imagine if you weren't annoyed about it, what your day would look like. Probably a lot better.
I know, and you're right. It's keeping that mindset. And I think what we'll talk about next is look at your life, the community, and mindset into it.
Now streaming
Ayrshire Insights, hosted by Elliot Boyce.
This is Now Ayrshire Radio.
We are still with Billy Kirkwood, and before we continue in the life of Billy, it is time for Bargain of the Week. So, the listeners were in touch earlier on. They let us know their Bargain of the Week. So, Billy, what is the best thing that you have got this week for your Bargain of the Week?
Right, so in this country, because I'm just back from a wee break in Berlin, it's so much cheaper to get a train in Berlin, it's disgusting. It's like €10 and you can go right across Germany. What's going on? You wouldn't get a cool winning on that. So mine is a really odd thing, but I really love fizzy juice. So here's a recommendation to you. Excess stock over in Irvine, right? They've actually got an American candy store. What to do is go there and get yourself some original recipe Pepsi. $1.49 a can. $1.49 a can. You can get yourself a 6-pack, and you're welcome. You're going back to the 2000s. You're going back to the 90s when everything had proper sugar in it. That's why I've got ADHD to this day. That is my bargain.
There we go. That's Billy's Bargain of the Week, and we'll be asking our listeners to get involved with that every single week. So now talking about community, Billy, how important are local stations and platforms like Now Ayrshire Radio for creative people?
It's massive. It's massive. Going back again, I had dalliances with I had dances on other stations on and off during my time in comedy. And obviously I'd, got a wee bit of a legacy in Ayrshire with stuff that I'd done before. But when Now Ayrshire came, you see, Now Ayrshire was such a cool thing because it was pitched at me as like, it's going to be local in a way other places weren't. Like, particularly with Ayrshire, because sometimes I'm a proud Ayrshireonian, Elliot. Like, I really, really am. There's an old phrase that I remember Bill Hicks saying. What a reference, Bill Hicks saying. He went, when you love something so much you can see all its faults, but you still love it. And that was always a thing of, when I heard that Now Ayrshire Radio was happening, and it was really exciting when they reached out to say, hey, would you be interested in being involved? I'd kind of retired a bit from radio. I wasn't looking for a radio gig at that time, but it was pitched to me like, it's going to be what it always should have been. It's for local listeners, local businesses, people to get involved. It's going to be local presenters that are on. It's going to bring a warmth, a familiarity, a fun element to radio, like the radio you used to listen to in the car and you would enjoy. When I heard that, I went, that was massive. That was massive, because I'd always been worried that when I'd finished up in the other place, there wasn't going to be any more Ayrshire presenters, any more the Ayrshire voices, and that really bothered me. That really, really bothered me, because you put a lot of work in, you put a lot of love in, and I think that's what Now Ayrshire's doing. Like, it's making things fun for people listening at any time of day. We're talking to you, and the fact that we're supporting local creative artists, we're supporting local businesses, we're supporting local bands and music and theatre shows as well, without making it seem all horrible and corporate and we'll maybe do it as a favour to you. No, none of that. And the fact that we are physically there. Yeah. I mean, someone could turn up here now and we could have a conversation. We never got to do that, man.
Yeah, it really is a really Ayrshire station, and I think that's the thing that I love about this show, Billy. Every single week I'm speaking to different people who are helping shape Ayrshire in their own way. Yeah. There's some amazing people. If you go right up the chain to likes of Sir Tom Hunter, who we had on, really? Scotland's first billionaire, still lives right here in Ayrshire. Fantastic coming on the show and telling us his story.
Tom, if you want to, if you're not a fan and you want to pay me some money to disappear, I'm just giving you the option, Tom. Just giving you the option. Just cut a check, send it in. You'll never hear from me again, Tom. Just in case. Just chuck it out there, Tom.
You're gone. But yeah, I've been talking about Sir Tom Hunter to everybody else. We've got people that are running mechanics, garages. We've had people that are really pioneering with likes of AI. There's so many cool things happening right here in Ayrshire. It is amazing what Now Ayrshire Radio do, and it's great to be a part of. And Billy, I love listening to your drive time show, and obviously all the people of Ayrshire getting to talk to them and be in the heart of the community. Now, what advice would you give to someone locally who right now is just deciding, you know what, I don't want to go down what the expected route is. I don't want to go and do an apprenticeship. I don't want to do this. I want to be creative, and I want to turn a creative passion into an actual income. What's your bit of advice for them?
Well, you know, the thing is, man, there is so many different routes now to find your place. I mean, influencers. We know when I started, you know, it makes me sound dead old, but TikTok wasn't a thing. People forget how new that is. People forget how being able to build an audience, build a business and stuff on YouTube and what have you. If you're wanting to get into the creative industries, just go for it. What is it you want to do? If you want to be a performer, that's great. If you want to create stuff, take a passion. I mean, I've got a friend over in Kilwinning, bless him, who I didn't even realise lived in Kilwinning, but he does car repairs. He does like videos of car repairs. The guy's got 100,000 people on YouTube following him. That's a job for him, and it's advertising for him. Now you might go, hey, I want to be a stand-up. I want to tell dirty jokes. I want to do such and such. Well, there's loads of opportunities for you to do that, from writing scripts. It's a case of like, just do it. I know it sounds like Shia LaBeouf when I say that, but just do it. Don't think about it too long. The opportunities are there. 99% of people will not make that final step, and that final step is actually doing it. You have to do it. If you want to write scripts, there's I mean, you can go to university, you can go to colleges, you can learn these things, the script writing things. You want to make a film, you can make a film using this now. This used to be an entire department when this used to be an entire department at a college. But now you can make things on your phone. You can instantly get yourself out there if you want to. Just make that step. Just make that step. Don't talk about it. Get around it. If you want to be a stand-up, go and see stand-up. If you want to be an actor, go and see plays. Just make that first step is my advice. And don't let any people, your best friends and your worst enemies, will try and talk you out of it. Don't let them. You're your biggest asset. Don't let them even for a second, because they don't want you to take that extra 1% step.
Power through and believe in yourself.
That's it. Go for it. What's the worst thing that can happen? You're going to fail. You're going to learn. Keep going.
You'll keep going. No, Billy, fantastic. It's been amazing to hear all the amazing work that you're doing. And we're going to finish off with a fun round, plus finding out what's next for Billy Kirkwood. Going to do it just after this.
This is the Ayrshire Insights Podcast with Elliot Boyce.
Now Ayrshire.
I'm chatting with today's local legend, Billy Kirkwood, and it's time for 5 Fast Ones. It's a quick fire, Billy. No thinking. Are you ready to play 5 Fast Ones?
I'm ready to go. Let's go.
Right, let's do it. Favourite takeaway?
Mexican. Taco Bell.
Oh, a song that always lifts your mood?
Kid Rock, Celebrate.
Best thing about Ayrshire?
My family live here.
Worst gig experience?
I think I did a show at the Fringe one year, and it was an hour of silence.
That must be horrible, by the way.
Like 20 minutes is bad, but an hour? That's rough, man.
Tumbleweeds in the background as you're delivering jokes.
Like, what's happened? Have I walked into the wrong gig? What's happened? You just came here. I didn't break into your house and start doing the show. So there's probably other ones, but hey, that's what it is.
Who plays you in a movie of your life?
Everybody thinks I'm going to say like Jack Black or something, but I'm losing weight right now, so I'm going to go with Jason Momoa. Let's go for it, man.
Hey,
let's go.
Believe in it. Brilliant, Billy. Thanks for playing 5 Fast Ones. We're going to get our guests to play that every single week. Now, finally, what is next for you?
Well, it's quite busy. There's a bunch of stuff that are in the can. I've just finished an online series called Cops and Monsters. That's going to be debuting in about the next month. That's going to be online. You're going to be able to watch that. I'm going to be on Blaze TV in Sky History. I'm one of the presenters on a show called Hidden Britain. Where we go and look at myths and wonders and weird things all across Britain, from the Gorbals vampire to Maggie Hawes Monument. We're all over the place. And then it'll be the Fringe. I am into the Fringe. I'm doing my show Mayhem, which is about there's no real direct plan. The show's a little different every day, but it's about, dealing with everything from ADHD to trying to balance the realities of life to wherever it goes. I've literally came up with a show that would deliberately make me trip up and improvise. Oh, you guys posting up crowd work clips? Take that.
Brilliant. Now, what is one thing that you hope changes for creative industries in Scotland over the next few years?
Wow. I hope that there is more opportunities across the board. I think there's a lot of gatekeeping there. I hope that local theatre and local entertainment is supported, because that is where everything comes from. Whether it be, you think of some of the biggest names of our generation, that is where it does, because that'll breed the next generation of comedians, that'll breed the next generation of writers, that'll breed the next generation of radio presenters, that'll breed... I think I want to see that, but as well as, for young people, I want to see for older people as well, 40 up, because you think about these amazing talents that are out there getting more of their opportunities. So I hope there's financial support, but I hope there is really opening up to anyone that wants to take that opportunity, and anyone that's given the opportunity. You don't need trained, you don't need X, Y, and Z. If people want to explore it, they should be given the opportunity, particularly with folk that are passionate about it. So that's what I want to see. I want to see more local theatre. I would love to see prices coming down so we can fill theatres and we can fill venues and we can fill events. But that's out of my hands right now. So fingers crossed.
No, fingers crossed, Billy. Now, before we round up today, have you got any final shout-outs and thanks for anyone?
I do actually. I'm going to give a massive shout out to my co-presenter Bex. I have to say that she'll love that. But she really is the glue that holds Drive Time together. The opportunity to work with her again was what got me back on radio in Ayrshire, and I was delighted. I think she's amazing, and she's such a big heart and such a creative energy. It's kind of making me a wee bit sick in my throat. I'm saying all these nice things about her, to be honest, but that's what it is. I'd say the whole team in Now Ayrshire, I want to give them a huge shout out, but I'd obviously have to say my wife, kids, and anyone that has ever bought a ticket to come and see me. You do not know how much I appreciate it. I really genuinely do. I'm a socially awkward nutball, but I genuinely really appreciate it. Keep supporting live entertainment if you can, but I really, really appreciate that. Any backup, any support, any words of encouragement. And if you don't like me, keep it to yourself. That's my advice.
Yeah, but massive, Billy, and thank you very much for coming on the show this morning, supporting the Ayrshire Insights.
Cheers, mate. Always a pleasure.
Bye-bye.
This is the Ayrshire Insights podcast.
Never miss an episode. Hit subscribe now.